When it comes to owning a dog, there are two ahadith that are used to discuss this issue. The first of them is whoever takes a dog, and except for one of three, shall diminish the good deeds of his day, the amount of a qirat. What is a qirat? It's like a large quantity. Whoever takes a dog, except if it is a dog of agriculture, or a dog of hunting, or a dog of protection, shall have his good deeds diminished by a certain amount every day. So this is the first hadith, that if you take a dog without one of these three reasons, if you own a dog, if you possess a dog, then your good deeds of the day will be diminished. However many you've done, you're not going to get the full amount. There's going to be a deduction, okay? There's going to be a penalty, a tax for owning that dog. The second hadith in Sahih Muslim, that the Prophet ﷺ was waiting for Jibreel to come. One day he didn't come and he became perturbed. Why didn't Jibreel come? He went outside and Jibreel was waiting for him outside. He said, "Why? You said you were going to come, why didn't you come?" Jibreel said, "There is a dog in your house, and we do not enter houses that have dogs in them." And the Prophet came in and they found a puppy under the bed, so they got rid of, they put that outside. And so this shows us that, according to this, angels do not enter the house where there is a dog. Okay, so these are the two hadith that are used. Now, from this, a number of things. First and foremost, by unanimous consensus, even the scholars that say it is najis, they allowed these three types of dogs, okay? Meaning the dog that is used for a purpose that is maslaha, clearly beneficial, okay? You need a dog to control the perimeters, make sure you ward off any types of, beasts from your land, okay? You need a dog for hunting. You need a dog to protect your house, a guard dog. Even the Shafi'is, Hanafis, the Quran allows it. Nobody can deny it. The Quran allows mukallibin. By the way, a hunting dog can also be for pleasure. Doesn't mean you're dying if you don't hunt, right? Most people who have hunting dogs might do it for pleasure. And Allah Azza wa Jal allows hunting dogs. Think about this point here, okay? So they said that if you're doing it for these reasons, none of the scholars said you have to be dying of hunger, then you're allowed to own a hunting dog. That's ridiculous. It takes years to train a dog. Generally speaking, the people who do this are already upper middle class anyway, okay? Or there are people living in the Badia and they take years to train the dog. Point being, by unanimous consensus pretty much, it is allowed to own a dog that is benefiting your land or acquiring food for you. So that much is allowed. What then do we do about other than these three? The vast majority of scholars said that anything that is reasonable, qiyas upon these three, should also be allowed. Imam al-Nawawi said, scholars have differed, can we move beyond these three? And the correct opinion is, if there is a need or not a need, maslaha, it's not a need. If there is a benefit to having a dog that is other than these three, then we make qiyas that there's some benefit coming back to you, that benefit is not a darura, it is a haja. Haja means it makes life easier, okay? Darura means you cannot live without it. Haja means it makes life easier. So Imam al-Nawawi said, any dog that is needed for a haja, it is allowed. And Nawawi is Shafi'i, and Shafi'is were the strictest when it comes to dogs. Still, they said, any dog that is for a haja. And this is pretty much all of the other madhahib as well. So from this, we can extrapolate that without a question, without a doubt, a seeing dog is halal to have. A dog that is used by, these days we're discovering there are those that are mentally or emotionally impaired, and having sometimes an animal, it makes them normal, mentally more balanced. It brings about certain, they feel more stable or whatnot. Some people, they panic. And when they have their dog with them, and I met somebody like this, I had no idea, I had no clue. A few years ago, I met one of our converts, and he had PTSD from battle. He had converted and whatnot. Long story, and he had a dog with him, and it was a special dog, Marta, and he could see normally. I'm like, what is this dog for? So he said, it's my emotional comfort dog. I'm like, what's that? And he explained to me that because of PTSD, sometimes I hyperventilate, sometimes I panic, sometimes he loses control. And the dog senses the panic, and the dog comforts the owner. SubhanAllah, I had no idea of this, So, therapeutic type of dog. Yeah, so without a doubt, this is a haja, without a doubt, right? That if you're allowed to have a dog to go hunting, luxury items like, rabbits or something like this nature, clearly you can have a dog when you're hyperventilating or emotionally or whatnot. That there are people that are mentally, emotionally, they need, these types of creatures that brings about comfort. This must be completely permissible as well. Now, generally speaking, the default of the Hanafi, Shafi'i, and Hanbali schools is that a dog is only allowed for haja. Haja means, as I said, something you need it, but not life and death need. It's something that you can sense is going to bring a lot of ease to your life. In the Maliki school, once again, they were a little bit more open in this regard. And they lowered the bar more than the other schools. And of their great giants is Ibn Abdul Barr. Ibn Abdul Barr writes in his Tamheed that when he mentions this hadith about the three, he goes that this implies that it is allowed to own a dog لِلْمَنَافِعِ كُلِّهَا, for all types of benefits. Whatever is going to be of benefit, you may then own the dog, if a person wishes to do so. And that if there is no benefit, then it is makruh, according to them, not haram. Makruh to own the dog. And if there is benefit, then there is no karaha whatsoever. Okay, so this is the Maliki position. And he mentions a very interesting point. I'm just going to quote this to you. This is Ibn Abdul Barr. Ibn Abdul Barr died in the year 436 AH, so 1,000 years ago. And he's one of the giants. Every scholar knows him and every Maliki loves him. He's one of the great giants of the Maliki school. And he wrote the most voluminous commentary of Imam Malik's Muwatta. It's in like 25 volumes, okay? He actually wrote 2 commentaries of the Muwatta Imam Malik. And he writes in here that owning a dog for benefit, I do not think there is the slightest karaha. فَمَا أَظُنُّ شَيْئًا مِنْ ذَلِكَ مَكْرُوهٌ. There is nothing makruh about owning a dog for benefit, because people have been owning dogs generation after generation in every single land and in every single region as far as we know. And throughout these lands and regions, scholars have seen this, and they did not prevent them from doing this, nor did they go to the sultans and stop them, even though they had the power to do so. However, he says, I do not like that a person own a dog except for a legitimate reason. Do not like means I think it is makruh. Okay, so Ibn Abdul Barr's position, which is fairly standard in the Maliki school, is that it is makruh to own a dog for no reason. And for any reason, for a manfa'a, not a haja, which is lower than haja, for any benefit, owning a dog would then become la ba's, or not makruh. This is Ibn Abdul Barr. Now, okay, Ibn Abdul Barr, what do you say about the hadith? The angels do not come inside. That's also there. The angels will come inside. Here we don't just have Ibn Abdul Barr. We have quite a number of ulama. Even before Ibn Abdul Barr, we have Ibn Hibban, Ibn Hibban is one of the original scholars of hadith who narrated the hadith. Ibn Hibban is basically of the giants of hadith. He is not a scholar of fiqh of the 5th, 10th century. Ibn Hibban is the compiler of the Sahih. Like there are 4 Sahih books, by the way. Sahih Bukhari, Sahih Muslim, Sahih ibn Khuzaymah, and Sahih ibn Hibban. These are 4 Sahih books. Ibn Hibban is one of the Sahih. Ibn Hibban has the chapter heading about this hadith, and so he has the original hadith. He's not like commenting. He actually has the hadith with his isnad, and he then has the chapter heading that, I'm just summarizing it, you can look this up, that this hadith is specific to the house of the Prophet where wahi comes down. This is about Jibreel, because it is impossible that the angels do not enter any house in which there is a dog. The Kiram and Katibin, he goes, are with them. The Kiram and Katibin are always with the people, even if they're the dogs there. So this hadith is not unconditional. And he brings about another hadith that the Prophet ﷺ said, any caravan that has dogs or bells will not have angels with it. Ibn Hibban says, this is the caravan that the Prophet ﷺ is in. The angels will not be in such a caravan, because it is impossible that the caravan of Hujjaj and Mu'tamirin, which always has dogs or these types of things in it, that the angels will not come around them, because Allah has said these are my delegations, wafdullah. So Ibn Hibban is saying this is Jibreel who has the highest standard, and the Prophet ﷺ. It's not Sharia for the rest of us. That's his position. From this, Ibn Abdul Barr also and others of that, they also brought forth here, is that Ibn Abdul Barr comments, as for the hadith that the angels do not enter the house where there is a dog, he says, this Allah knows best, is why the Prophet ﷺ himself did not like having a dog in his house. And some have said this is khas for Jibreel and the Prophet ﷺ. Ibn Abdul Bar says. And some have said it applies to all others. So the point being that this hadith has not been interpreted unanimously in the same manner. Other scholars have added some other points about this hadith, that from this hadith, the max that one can derive that the angels do not come to such a house, if we were to apply it to all houses, which is, and if not everybody applies it, some say only Jibreel and the Prophet, is that the angels do not like this animal. However, you cannot extract tahrim from it, because what the angels do not like does not make it haram. For example, the angels do not like any strong odor, such as garlic, strong garlic. The angels do not like it. Is it haram? So, a number of ulama have pointed out the wording of the hadith does not indicate tahrim. The max that you can say, which was what Ibn Abdul Bar says, karaha. That is best to avoid these things. Now, according to the majority opinion, to play with an animal is not a haja. You understand this point? So I'm being factual when I say the majority of the ummah would not allow a dog as a pet just to play with. But a strand of the Maliki school would not find it problematic. Some might say it is makruh. And makruh does not imply sin, it's best to avoid. And this is why some cultures of our Muslim world have permitted this and others have shut the door.